Hey followers, this is Doug Kenney from Movie Maker Doug 55. Today I'm with my coach and mentor, Andy McPhee, and we have Amber who's going to talk about her life. Hi Amber, how you doing?
Hi, Doug. Hi, Andy. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for
hi
having me
Amber.
today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And just for those who've been following the series, Amber's a friend of Mel Yu, who Doug and myself interviewed a few months ago. So yeah, thanks, and thanks to Mel for hooking you up with us. So it's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, great. So Doug, back to you.
So Amber, I must ask, what are you doing in life these days?
So at the moment, I'm currently a dermal therapist, which is a skin therapist. I am at university, so studying my Bachelor of Dermal Science degree. Um, Basically, I'm in this position because I like helping people that may have debilitating skin conditions, making them feel more comfortable in themselves, giving them more confidence in that aspect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And can I ask you something like, how much does that affect people, like when they come to you with a skin condition? Like, how much does that actually stop them doing certain things in life, like meeting people, etc., or feeling self-conscious at work or in public places?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of people will come in and, sometimes they will break down in front of us and cry because they don't want to leave their house. They wear thick makeup to cover their imperfections, and yeah, they don't do the normal day-to-day tasks that normal people would do. Going out, socializing with people, they tend to just stay home all the time, wearing makeup, doing anything they can to sort of, I guess, cover their skin. And I guess our role is to sort of bring that back and peel that back a little bit, and sort of give them their confidence to go back out and show their skin.
Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, gee whiz. I knew it was sort of, it affects people, but sort of didn't realize that, a lot of people it affects so much that they just lock themselves in. And what happens if you find someone that comes in that you think, wow, this is a lot more deep seated than what they're saying? Are you allowed to say, look, maybe we'll take care of you skin wise, but maybe you should go speak to someone like a professional? Are you allowed to do that, like offer that, or you're not allowed to?
Uh, yeah, we are. So we do have a bit of a referral process in place where we do think if someone does have that, emotional trigger that is causing their skin condition, that we would recommend for them to go and either speak to a psychologist, speak to a doctor or something like that. Just because even normal day to day, like myself, I've gone through, I guess, my experiences, and I've seen a psychologist, and even when I am in my happy state, I still like to see a psychologist because it's someone that you
Yeah,
can just bounce, things that have happened off throughout the day, and they'll just give you a mechanism to help sort of manage those things. So we always refer people on to whether
yeah.
it be a psychologist, dermatologists, and so forth.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. Doug, questions?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you treat people with, skin conditions, is that right?
Yeah, I do. So I actually had one client. She wasn't living in Melbourne, which is where I'm located. She was from another state in Australia, and she didn't even want to send me photos of her skin. She didn't want to get on a Zoom meeting with me. It was basically all by email, all by messages on the phone, because she hadn't looked at her skin in that long
So
because
it's
of the skin condition she had.
a
Wow.
self-esteem thing, right?
It is a self-esteem thing. It's definitely, it breaks down their confidence, I guess, and they feel like, I guess, people are going to, again, judge them, pick on them, or, so
Yeah.
forth.
I
Mm.
had a self-esteem issue that I had years ago when I was struggling with my autism. And I
Mm-hmm.
brought this up to Andy in our first episode, when I was diagnosed with autism, it was 2002 when I was 4. And I went to kindergarten And I went to school for the first day of school, and the next thing I knew, I was told to not come back the next day, to take, the next day off, because, I struggled to fit in with, other students. And for years, I had a self-esteem issue, mainly because I felt like a failure for not being able to perform like other people, so I know what that's like. And yeah.
Yeah, and it must be like Doug said with the autism, or skin conditions, or even physical disabilities, in the way, I mean, like, my young son, he was born with just little stubs on his hands, and he's also, he's got Asperger's, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with him. There's nothing wrong with Doug, but it's just that stigma that comes along with it. But yeah, he's dealt with that all his life. And then we're actually interviewing a girl next week, an actress, a woman next week. She's an actress, and she had an accident where she lost her hand. She could have given up and went, oh, how am I going to act? No one's going to want me. But she's working on a regular TV. She's actually on General Hospital. She's a regular cast member and has been for 3 years or 4 years. So it is tough for when people have to go through that. So our series is not about offering people any solutions. It's about listening to people like yourself and these other amazing guests we have on, to go, okay, there is something I may be able to do. I've just got to find access to that. So that must be quite, for you, it must be really, just really a terrific feeling at the end of the day, where you've changed someone's life, or given them opportunity to see, hey, there's hope out of this.
That's one of my favorite things, because even when you do go through school, or you do have a disability of some sort, and people pick on you and things like that, it shouldn't happen. It's a horrible thing. Nobody's born to bully someone, and for people to actually have that bullying put on them, what's the word? It breaks you down and breaks your confidence down for later in life, and it affects you later in life in the things that you need to do. And everybody is human. Everybody's we're all the same, basically. Like, nobody's better than anyone. And I think we need to really get rid of that stigma that there's people that are above other people when they're not.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So Amber, that's really incredible what you've done for people. I must ask, though, it didn't always start that way. What happened that turned your world upside down?
So I guess growing up, going through high school, primary school for me was fine. Everybody, I think, gets along in primary school. It's probably one of your happier times. But then once you get into your teens and you move into high school, you do get bullied. And, I actually, when I think about it now, I actually don't really have any idea why I was bullied. It might be that, I wore something that somebody didn't like, so they made something up about it and they would bully me about it. So I became I lacked in confidence a lot. I lacked in seeing myself as, I guess, worthy. And then from there, I found myself in a toxic relationship cycles with boyfriends. And, a lot of the time they would be saying, I love you and so forth, but the behavior wasn't reflecting that. And I guess that sort of pushed me down a lot as well. And it got to the point where that relationship had to come to an end. And I decided to leave Melbourne and move to a remote island in Queensland, where I worked there for 10 months. And that I came back a different person. I just sort of, I guess, left everything that had broken me down behind, to meet new people that I've never met before. They knew nothing about me. And I built my confidence again. And I became a completely different person. From there, I've moved back to Melbourne to study, because I've I've witnessed there, they had a spa on the island, and I witnessed there a lot of the guests that would come and they would go in and have spa treatments, and I myself would go in and have spa treatments, and I was like, this makes me feel good. So from there I thought, I'm going to study this. But I knew that I didn't just want to study just your basic beauty therapy. I knew I wanted to go more, and more into skin conditions, like anything from, say, cystic acne to eczema to psoriasis, rosacea, things that I guess people struggle with a lot, don't know how to manage, and they feel like they can't, I guess, leave their house without wearing a lot of makeup and so forth. That was sort of what pushed me into doing that, being able to help people in that aspect.
That's great. And what I get out of what you shared about leaving, not a lot of people can do that. Like, they might leave the relationship, but they're still in the same area, same suburb, same town, and look, I'm not saying that you're not going to move beyond that, but what I hear from you is just the fact that you moved to a remote island up, Queensland, I think you said, just to really get away. And it probably gave you a ton of time to look at yourself and go, okay, I didn't cause any of this. Like when you're away from all that, you can actually go, I didn't cause it. It's nothing to do with me, what people did to me at school or what my ex-boyfriends did, and they've got things that they need to deal with. So that gave you a refreshing start to just really get, hey, I can go wherever I want because it's not me who caused this. Right. And so, coming back and doing what you're doing now, helping other people, same as Doug, Doug isn't autism. It's just something that occurred when he was born. It's like, some people are born into amazing families. Some people are born into families where people are not dealing with, their stuff, and that immediately, you being born or prior to being born, you can absorb all that before you even enter the world. That's right. Another lady we had on here, Angela Savage, whose dad was what's his first name, Doug?
David Sweet Savage.
Oh, David Savage. Yeah, he was an Indy 500 car driver, and he sadly, lost his life after an accident back in the 70s. And Angela wasn't born, like she was still in her mum's womb, and her mum was watching her husband race, and the accident happened, and they found out after, and since 9/11, that you can be born with post-traumatic stress prior to being born if the mother's gone through something terrible. And her story, which people can see on here, and you can yourself have a look at it when you get a chance, is she dealt with just drugs and mental health and suicide thoughts, and so we're at the beck and call of, when we come into life, whoever's around us can affect us dramatically, or you're just born with a card that no one else was dealt with. And it's amazing to see people be able to move beyond that. And you sharing a little bit about toxic relationships, and I won't go into it here too much because it'll take up your time, but as I mentioned to you before, I was the boyfriend you left, and I don't mean boyfriend and girlfriend, but what I'm saying is that I'm that guy that women left because I didn't deal with whatever caused my anger, and I have a rough idea what, but there was no blame to anyone else. I just didn't deal with it right through my whole life, which led to really having a great life, but then there wasn't a great life because I was pushing people away all the time, like not dealing with it. And now I really get what damage that does emotionally to the women that I was with. Like I'm talking to them now, but it still doesn't mean that they've got rid of that hurt and that pain, because they're dealing with it, but it will always be there. That's right. Even though I have a great relationship with, pretty much 99% of the people, it would only take me they might be talking, I might go, hey, and raise my voice, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, he's off. And so I have to be aware of that. So I really understand what you've been through, and the fact that you went away, you got to see you came back brave, you came back strong, you're creating your own life, and dealing with the bullying. was there other things in your life that, you know, sort of could have tipped you over the edge the wrong way, but you were strong enough to get through that?
Yeah, so I basically had quite a few ups and downs. Past once I got past the boyfriend sort of stuff. I was friends, or I am friends with Mel. So obviously experiencing the loss of her partner, who was friends with my one of my boyfriends that I had at that time. So we shared the same friendship group. So that, you know, even though I didn't experience it on Mel's level, that loss of a friend in a group, it is quite challenging. And then watching my friends have to go through that grieving process as well. And then, about 5 years ago or so, I did lose someone very, very close to me as well in a road accident. And that I probably didn't give myself enough time to grieve. I was working in a position where it was casual, so I had to go to work, otherwise I wouldn't get paid. I was living out of home, so I didn't want to add that additional stress of not having that money to pay my rent. And I think I just didn't allow myself that time to grieve and go through the processes of the grieving stage. I took a lot of, I guess, my emotions out on a lot of my friends, whether it be anger, crying a lot, very erratic. And I would just switch like that and it would change. I couldn't actually, for a little while, I couldn't see that that's what I was doing. And then one day it was almost like I woke up and I was like, oh, hang on a minute. The things that I've been doing are very out of character for me. What's going on? And then that's, again, like I did see a psychologist back in the day when I was experiencing the ex-boyfriend situation, but I hadn't gone and seen one again yet about the loss of that person close to me. So
just to add to that, I know exactly what you mean. A few years back, when I went through that rough spot that I told both you and Andy about, there was a point in 2014 where I said a series of things against a race car driver on social media. It was a race car driver that I wasn't a big fan of, but I said some awful things about him. And it lasted for the course of like a year. And it drove a lot of the people that I grew up with away from me. Like, it was so out of character for me. And looking back, I think the reason I said so many bad things on social media, I think it was because of what I was going through with my personal struggles and the hormones of being a high school teenager. But a lot of people that I grew up with and had on social media, they dropped me in the aftermath of it because they didn't want, and I think it was because they didn't want to see me fall apart. They probably knew that my life was, crumbling.
And look, Doug, I'll add something to that. You don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
And we can waste a lot of energy going, oh, but maybe they didn't. It doesn't matter. It matters that you get what you did and that you cleaned it up, right? Yeah. And when you clean it up, then you'll see sometimes people will come back and go, oh, well, man, that was great. I saw what you posted. That was good. We can waste so much time and energy on, like, even if you've done something wrong or something against someone and thinking, oh, what are they thinking? You can't ever work out what they're thinking until they tell you. So
that's
instead
right.
of wasting that energy and moving forward and cleaning up the messes that we are responsible for, if that's the case, and it's not an easy thing to do, to own up and clean up whatever you created. Doesn't mean that, especially with a relationship, so it doesn't mean that the ex-girlfriend or boyfriend's going to talk to you if you caused something, but they accept the fact you've owned it. They may never talk to you again, but you've let them free and you've let yourself free to move on. So that's what's really important.
Yeah, and what matters is I did clean up my act. Like, a couple years after the things I said, I went to the Cup race in Phoenix, and I actually met the team that the driver was with, and I also met him in person, and I got a photo with him, and I kind of said, sorry for what I said on social media about you, and he was like, I don't remember a lot of the things that were said about me at that period.
Yeah, but see, that's my point. It's great that we acknowledge we've got to clean something up, but it's the time you waste thinking, and half the time someone will go, "Oh, I didn't even read it." You know, it's
Yeah.
only us that gets it, and it's us cleaning it up. So, yeah, that's really cool, Doug, and yeah, Amber, it's just not a great story of what you went through, but it's a great
Mm.
story of how you went through it and how you come out. And yeah, like, hey, you're working in dermatology, so some people are like, oh wow, that's not my deal. But for you and
Mm.
what you do to other people, that's those people with those issues with their skin, to free them up to be able to get out in the world. Hardly any one of us will ever meet them or know them. It'll only be people in their close circle. But the
That's right.
difference that makes to those people to be able to get out and not feel like you're being stared at or something's wrong is enormous. It's enormous.
That's right. And I guess that's what makes me feel good at the end of each day, working and going to bed and knowing that I've helped someone. That's my,
Yeah.
I guess, main sort of thing.
Yeah, and it helps, and it really gives you that sparkle in the morning to get up. And
It does.
because every day it's not going to be the same people you're dealing with. Every day it's going to be someone new come in, or someone that you have obviously been working with, but you see them change. You see their emotions change. You see their spirit change, and you think, wow, I'm a skin psychologist.
Yes. And that's almost what it is as well. Like, working within the industry, a lot of people, they do come, and when you are performing these treatments on them, they sort of open up to you, and you learn a lot about their lives, and a lot about what's bringing them down, or things like that. So it's also sort of learning from my side of things as well, not to take on, I guess, their worries and making it weigh me down. So it's a big balance in doing that. But yeah, it's good.
That's actually a really good point. I'm glad you said that, because I was only talking to someone about this yesterday, that yes, people are dealing with things all the time. Like, social media is wonderful. We use it, but it's also dangerous if you get trapped into like watching all the time, watching what other people are doing. And certain people can just look at that and go, oh, wow, I've done it. I've gone, oh, my friend, he's just booked another job. Wow, he's doing this, he's got that. Well, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with me, because I'm not him.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not doing something in my area of acting that I'm connecting up with my agents, whatever it is. But it's a great thing, social media. I love it, but it's also something you got to be aware of, not to really have time off it. Like, really go, I'm not going to, because you know what it's like. We all do. You'll go to check an email, and before you know it, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're on Twitter, you're reading stuff, getting emotionally involved in it. It's okay for 15, 20 minutes, then get off it. Just because it's not going to change your day unless it's something like something maybe like this, or another great motivational, inspirational videos that really help you see something. That's great. But the rest of it's just really, it's all about me. Look at me, look at me, look at what I'm doing, And okay, that's cool, but don't get up involved in it,
Yeah. And because it can make you, I guess, and it can make you look at your own life and think like you're not exceeding, like you said. And then you sort of feel down on yourself, like, and it might then hinder your, I guess, day on achieving what you want to achieve, because you're then sort of, I guess, worrying about what other people have achieved.
Yeah, 100%, mate. It's
One of the things that I did a few years back, when I went out on a journey to rediscover happiness after my rough senior year, one of the things that I did was improve myself in my Christianity. And my pastor told me when I met with him during my rough spot that I needed to learn certain elements of the fruit of the Spirit. And he told me that I needed to work on patience, self-control, and he also told me that I need to work on joy and peace, and let me remember, there was another and faithfulness. And he told me that there was a list of the fruit of the Spirit, but he told me certain ones that I needed to work on. And I must say, I must just say for the record, you can't feel happiness without certain parts of the fruit of the spirit.
That's right.
And look, you know, Doug's written a couple of great books. I mean, he's written 8 books, but he's written a couple of I won't say bestsellers, but they were pretty close. Like they're selling right up on the high percentage on Amazon with his book on autism. And also he's written a couple of books on faith. And, you know, like, not that this discussion is about faith or Christianity, because that's a whole nother a series, you know, but everyone has their own free will and choice to choose what they do. And you know, like I ride with Bikers for Christ, and you know, I've been involved in motorcycle world for a long time, and I still have really great friends who ride with, you know, other clubs and that. I don't judge them for what they're riding. I just go. I have friends with people who are just genuine, good human beings, not trying to get anything from me. I'm not trying to get anything from them. And, you know, I think it's everyone's journey is separate, you know, to do what they do in life. I think what Doug just said, regardless whether you're in the faith or you're not, the first thing in life is really you've got to treat people how you want to be treated yourself, and, you know, not making people wrong. But I was just going to say, Doug, look, we've run out of time, so we'll have to, you know, get to the end of this. But Amber, look, really, it's a really cool story, you know, like it's just great, again, to hear, you know, how you refuse to be held back by, you know, whatever happened at school, the sad loss of a close, you know, someone close to you, the bullying, the broken relationships, just to be able to keep going through that and find yourself again, and then return to where you left with a whole new spirit and not being affected by any of that. And now helping other people in your way, which is just really, really awesome, you know?
I think the biggest thing that sort of helped me was actually seeing a psychologist, because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to recognize the patterns. And now I even, like, a lot of the things that my psychologist taught me, I sort of, if other people come to me with their concerns, I say, well, think of it this way. What evidence do you have on that thought that you're having? And that sort of, I guess, I probably wouldn't be where I am today had I not reached out and gone to a psychologist. And I know a lot of people, it's still a bit of a taboo sort of topic, seeking help and things like that. But I think it's one of the best things that anyone could ever do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And if you need help, just go seek help. Like look, it doesn't matter what you believe in during, you know, whatever you believe, whether you're a Christian, you're not a Christian, you're into any sort of faith. If you need professional help, you go get professional help. It doesn't mean anything about what you believe in that doesn't poo-poo that, you know, like that's why professionals are here, like doctors, nurses, specialists, psychiatrists, dentists, like, well, you know, like some people do, they go, oh no, but I can't, you know, and I respect that. If someone says my faith doesn't allow that, if they're in a very, you know, strong faith that doesn't believe in certain types of medical help, okay, that's okay, that's what you believe. But, you know, beyond that, if you need help, psychological help, you need, you know, doctors, specialist surgery, you got to go do that, because you know, sadly, if you don't, then things can turn, you know, in a bad way. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And the world would be a better place if everybody, you know, remembered to treat others with kindness, treat people the way you want to be treated. You need to remember to do that.
I think really, like, I don't know, it's only my view, but I think, you know, I think pretty much everyone on the planet has the same thought. The trouble is it's the negative, the bad stuff that hits the news, and we tend to start thinking, oh, everyone's in their own little world under pressure of earning money, paying rent, going to work, COVID, this and that. And most people you meet, when you get to know them, we all deal with the similar things. We just forget sometimes and let that overtake us, and forget the person in front of us is probably dealing with the same thing, like that story I shared with you guys earlier about the guy abusing me in the car for, parking somewhere where he could get in, but he was just having a bad day. And then he's throwing abuse at me. And, back in the day, I probably would have got out and confronted him. But I just said, sorry, man, I should have taken more care and moved a bit out of the way. And I don't want to send you home getting angry at your wife or your kids. And I couldn't believe it. He come over to the car and shook my hand and said, actually, I'm really sorry, mate, because you actually didn't do anything. He said, I've just had a really crappy day. I went, oh, this is cool, man. Thanks for coming over. So we don't know what people are dealing with. We don't.
Yeah.
And it's just being aware of that. But hey, Amber, again, thank you so much for taking time to come on and sharing your journey. Doug, again, thank you for, keeping our series going here. You do an amazing job, and appreciate you, and appreciate you, Amber, too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. It's been great. I've never done anything like this before, so it's really stepping out of my comfort zone, which is good. And I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks. It was a pleasure for us to have you on the program, and I want to thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
No problem. Thanks, Andy, for being a good drill instructor for me. All righty. I want to thank both of my guests for appearing on the show. Please check out the link to my autism book, which is right up here. And we'll see you next time on Relentless and Unstoppable.